Mikhail, there's many more areas of research in this university. I mean, you've got agricultural research, you've got nanotechnology research. What is there, about 5 or 6 fields of
main
fields?
Yeah.
But the focus I want is on the biomedical research and the brain research. Now, there's one drug that I think you do in a big way and came out of this university that's very significant and covers both areas.
True, it's the Exelon.
Exelon. Tell us about that drug.
Exelon is an amazing story. It's a drug that was developed here at the Faculty of Medicine by Professor Martha Weinstock-Rosin. And it's today a worldwide selling drug that's sold by Novartis. It's a drug that treats the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And it was originally planned for an oral delivery, but today they also have a patch formulation, which is very helpful for these patients. And it's a world-leading drug. We're very proud of this work.
You're not a scientist. No. You're into the other side of the company. Do you know what the drug does at all? When you do public relations, are you told what the drug does?
I was told so many times, and yet I have no idea.
Because it would be, because Exelon, it's a great title too, the name of the drug, Excel, you know.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Did you think of the name of the drug?
No, it's way before me.
I see. But it came out of the science side or of the company side, do you know?
The name?
Yeah.
Yeah, the name is definitely from the company side. Normally when we license a formula or a molecule to a company, it has a few letters and a number, and it's like DH247.
Right.
Oh yeah, we've licensed DH247 to whatever company, and then it takes between 10 and 14 years to get a drug to the market from that stage.
Because of all the stages of testing and all the levels of testing that they have to go through. And they invest, that's a lot of money in preparing the drug for a market. I know that's the big issue. Now, when they get this patent and you give them that patent, this is a patent agreement, right? It's not a joint venture.
No, it's a license agreement.
It's a license agreement. When you give it to them, you leave it totally up to them to develop it. That's not your part of the game. They do the development. You're just a licensor.
Right, but we stay in touch with the company on various levels. First of all, the researcher is normally very much still in touch with the research and development processes that are going on, whether they're performed still in their laboratory right here at the Hebrew U or at the laboratory of the company. The expertise of the researcher are still very valuable for this process to continue. Now, the second thing is that we want to be involved in learning about the milestones and how they're progressing with whatever it is that they're working on inside the company, because it's in our interest to make sure that a proper process of development is going on. We need those reportings. It's a part of the licensing agreement that we will always know where the technology that we gave them is standing.
Now, in a company like Novartis, it's just one company you deal with.
Right.
How do you select the company? How do you choose which one? Do you invite bids, or because you got to keep it secret? So how do you do
When
that?
you say how do we choose, it's like it's the wishful thinking, right? It's that part where you have a technology so amazing that you have 10 different companies knocking at your door just to take it to their company. That is the rare case. In most cases, we have 1 or 2 companies that are looking at a technology at a certain time, and we try to make progress with them both and see where we can get better terms. Sometimes the big companies are the right way to go for a particular technology, and sometimes we'd rather go with a smaller company that's going to be much more focused on what we give them, rather than being the 10th project that no one looks at in a bigger company. So it varies.
But that's what your company does. You specialize in that for the university, in finding the right partner. And that's totally within your management structure and your board that does that. You don't keep going back to the university with that decision.
We don't go back to the university, but we work closely with the researcher. First of all, in many cases, it's the researcher who comes back with the company and is bringing us a business card, or is walking into our offices one day with a business representative of a company that might be the right fit for their technology, because they meet them. They meet them on professional grounds and they bring them back to us in many cases. But the other thing is that the researcher is very involved. It's their technology, it's their baby that's going to be out there in this company getting developed. So they get to not vote, I'd say, but they are very much involved in the process of negotiation of who the company is going to be and what nature of development process is going to be worked at.
In the movie industry, of course, the portrayal of the scientist versus the business, he's the narrow guy and the business is, you know, that image. It doesn't work that way, I don't think, in reality.
In some cases, it's the classical characteristics, okay? The businessman is this savvy shark of a guy who knows exactly what they're going to get, and the researcher on the other end doesn't really care, just wants to see that his technology becomes something one day. In other cases, you will see researchers who are businessmen and sharks on their own. They bring to us the technologies, but they also bring to us the business partners, and they know very well what they want to achieve and how to do it.
Well, that's interesting. Neither one fits the Hollywood model, of course.
No.
Because the Hollywood model is, you know, the idiosyncratic professor who doesn't, the world is totally indifferent to the realities of the world.
There are a few of those here too.
I assume everywhere.
Yeah, we have them.
Now, what kind of image do you have within the university among the academics? Do they know about you a lot? I mean, the scientists do, clearly, that you're working with. But generally, do you have an image in the university, or you're really not?
We're working, within Hebrew, there are about 1,000 personnel, staff, research staff. Out of them, we work with 400 researchers in applied research, which is a huge percentage compared to any other university.
Is that because in the field we're talking about, a lot of your frontier work is in the area I'm talking about. It's innovations in the medical field. I think over 50% of your patents are in that. 60%?
60% of what we do is in the fields of biotech and life sciences, yes.
So is that the reasoning?
I think overall, Hebrew U is a very applied-oriented university. It's true that the medical strength of this university, these fields of biotech and life sciences are very applied by nature. But when you look at other fields, it's true as well. It's true in agriculture, it's true in our applied chemistry, it's true in our School of Computer Science. Everywhere across the board, we work with big groups of researchers who are very much in touch with the industry.
But you wouldn't, if I was back here teaching, I don't think you'd be working with me.
What are you teaching?
Well, I'm involved in international ethics and with refugees. So
you'd be surprised. We've just commercialized a software for the teaching of biblical Hebrew.
Really? So I see. So it could go into the humanities as well.
It does.
I see. So I didn't know that. I didn't think of that. That's
the
true.
Humanities, they're hungry for money. So
yes,
if we can help them.
Now, do you have future creative expansions of your different areas you're going to, other than the areas of patenting, other than the areas of joint ventures? Is there new areas you're getting into?
We're working very closely with various ideas from the outside on how to make life better inside the university. So we have small programs within Yissum to support research directly within Hebrew U, a baby seed program that's just tiny, it's just in the beginning of it, but we have this program going on. And we're trying very hard to make an incubator-like program to start in the next few years. Hopefully it'll work out.
This is like a kind of internal venture capital for research?
Something like that, yeah.
I see. Anyway, I'd like to really thank you. It really helps making it concrete and not leaving it abstract, because you have the science side of it. And then you say, how do you deliver this to the real world? And right. That's your job, I assume, or Yissum's job,
yeah.
Of which you're a part. I want to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate you. You're very articulate.
Thank you. My pleasure.
My guest is Donna Holbrook. Welcome to the show, Donna.
Thank you, Howard.
Now, you've had a long connection as a Christian with the Jewish community. Just explain to the audience what that is.
My connection with the Jewish community wasn't birthed until I went to Israel, and that was about 16 years ago. And once you visit Israel, you come back wanting more, and the closest link to Israel is the Jewish community here. So that is how that all started.
And this involvement with this show, you've been on the show as a guest. and you're involved as the director with the Christian Embassy in Jerusalem. What role do you see this show playing, both for the Jewish community and for Israel and for the Christian community?
I see our Jewish world as being a very critical link, actually, to the Canada-Israel relation and to the faith groups, Christian and Jewish in particular. When you come back from Israel, I was hungry for anything Jewish, and where do you go? And so I went into the Jewish community. I went to hear the different speakers in the synagogues, and I read the papers, and I tuned into CTS, and I saw your show. And that became a regular program for me. I watched it faithfully every Sunday. And I think it helps people who are here to learn about Israel, whether they go there or not. If you've been there, you want more. If you haven't been there, you need to learn more about Israel. And the program is so diverse about culture and agriculture and technology and medical advances and just fun things that you can do there. The wineries and the food expositions that you can go on. There's much to enjoy and learn about Israel. And I think as a Christian Canadian, we enjoy those types of shared values, the sports, and our young people need to know that the kids in Israel are just like them, just in a different environment.
And you're just about to go back to Israel again.
I am.
And you're going to have a good trip. And you have the Feast of the Tabernacles there.
That's right.
And you attract a big Christian community from all over the world for that. We're going to have a special show on you. Because
that would be great.
We have to do that because I think the Christian support for Israel is so significant now, and it's important to understand that. But I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I promise you we'll have this special show, and we'll feature what you do and your activities.
Thank you, Howard. Glad to be here.